Hi everyone and welcome back to the next diecast. For today's video I'll be showing you and reviewing this 1/18 scale Nissan 350Z made by Maisto. So I found this model on Amazon for $40 and it has actually been discontinued for a few years now. It was in their catalog from 2003 when the real car came out and the year that this car is based off of until around 2013 or 2014. Now Maisto actually makes two versions of the 350Z. There's the regular version you see here, and that came in four colors. It came in this really cool orange with the black interior, silver with a beige and black interior, like kind of like an electric blue, and also a black. And Maisto also made the Nissan 350Z Nismo S-Tune version. So the S-Tune is different from the regular version in that it has different wheels. It has like Nismo tampos on the hood, and I think on the rear trunk too. And there's like some kind of like racing decals on the sides. Well, they're painted on. And there's a big rear spoiler too. But the interior and engine are pretty much the same in terms of their detail on both models and also like the paintwork and everything. So this review could count towards both of those models. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the details of this Nissan 350Z model here. Maisto did a nice job with these headlights here. There is a couple of pegs in each one, as you can kind of tell with this one here, with the peg on top and the peg down low there. But from a far distance, you really can't see them. But the rest of the detailing, I would say, is well done. They did a nice job with replicating like the lenses and the bulbs on the inside of the lights and everything like that. And overall, there's no like big gap between the light lens and the metalwork. Maybe a slight one up here on the corner, but you really can't tell. And if you have the black version of this model, which is rare, you won't see any gaps at all because the gaps would also be black, like the paint on the car. This lower grille down here looks great. It's actually a full hollowed out grille and you can see into the engine. Maisto usually doesn't put that on their newer cars, but this model came out in 2003, and that's when my model was actually from, according to the box. So that's a very characteristic older feature on Maisto models is the hollowed out grills, and that's great to see. This Nissan badge here is painted on, embossed, I should say. It doesn't pop out or anything, but it looks well done because it's not just a sticker. So that's nice to see. Moving along to the side here, we'll check out these wheels. These wheels were on the real Nissan 350Z, and this model was based off the touring version of the 350Z, which at least from 2003 to 2005, I want to say, that was like the top trim of the 350Z. It came in base, enthusiast, and touring trims for 2003. So touring had all the, extra features and everything like that, and these wheels were like an option. Maisto looks like they did like separate pieces for these lug nuts too, which is great. They're of course not separate pieces, but what Maisto did was they kind of made them hollowed out a little bit, so they did a really good job with that. There's a Nissan badge that pops out. The disc doesn't move with the rim, unfortunately, as is the case of most other Maisto models, but the brake calipers look really nice. They're oranged, I guess, to match the paint color, which looks awesome. And of course, you do get full steering on this model and suspension. It's a little bit, creaky and stiff because it is an older car. So just watch out for that. But it's not going to break or anything. Maistos are very durable in that sense. Nice Z badge embossed on either side of the car. It actually does pop out. It's like a three-dimensional badge. It's like in the metalwork, but it looks like it's a separate badge. So that's really, really cool. These side mirrors are done in kind of like a rubbery plastic, and they don't really match well with the metal parts of the car in terms of their paint, but they're very sturdy. They're not going to come off or anything. This one was actually slightly bent upwards, so I had to bend it down a little bit, but now they're nice and lined up. Paint quality on the car overall is fantastic. This orange looks excellent on this model and on the real car. It's called Lemans Sunset, and it just looks really, really good. It has like a metallic kind of flaking in it too. So that's awesome to see that Maisto did a good job with that. These door handles are actually separate plastic pieces. I thought they were just kind of painted metal on like the pictures I saw of this model, but they're separate pieces and they look great. On the rear, taillights are kind of same deal as the headlights. There's a peg in each one, but it's really hard to see from a distance. There's not really much else to see. There is some kind of texture underneath these lenses here. I don't think there was much to see underneath the real 350Z taillights anyway. I know after 2007 they added some like LED patterns in them, but this is an older version, so it doesn't have those. And same as the front, you have the Nissan badge embossed right there, and then the 350Z on that side. They both look really good. Tailpipes aren't that well done. They look kind of cheap. They aren't like painted black or anything, and they're just kind of chromed out. Most Maisto models have that anyway. These lower turn signals here are painted on, but they don't look that bad. The front signals are actually reflective stickers, so at least they didn't paint those. But it'd be nice to see if they were like separate pieces and whatnot. All right, so for opening features on this model, we'll take a look back here, starting with this kind of lift back trunk here. I like how the Z is kind of like a hatchback coupe. You don't really see too many of those body styles of cars. So we'll lift that up. And this is a bit heavy, so after some time it might not stay open anymore. So I try to open it as little as possible. So I would do the same if you are to purchase this particular model. Not much to see back here in the trunk, although Maisto did do a great job with this leather pattern on this brace here. And this looks like it's brushed aluminum, like they put like the kind of like streaks across it. It says Z on there, it kind of has a texture to it as well. I don't know what the purpose of this is on the real car. I think it's just a brace for like suspension and whatnot. And also if you have things to store, you can probably like hook stuff on there and everything. There's no carpeting back here, of course, but the plastic is kind of rough to simulate carpeting. And this little reservoir between the seats and the trunk space is also with that leather pattern. It looks awesome. We'll close that up here. And this wiper is actually a separate piece. So that's also nice to see. All right, next we'll look at the engine detail. Open this up here. 350Z came with a 3.5 liter V6, as you can see here. Maisto just did this all in kind of one plastic piece, like one plastic slab, so it doesn't look too great. But there are areas that are colored in which look great, like these fluids over here, and they do put the Nissan badge and the V6 badge on this main block here. And from a distance, you know, it doesn't make much of a difference anyway. But at least there is some coloring in some places, like this brace here and this and the rear part of the engine back there. And this piece isn't loose or anything. Some Maisto engine pieces are very, very loose, and you can almost pop them out. But this one is nice and sturdy, so that's nice to see. And despite the somewhat lack of detailing in here, they do actually put a liner underneath the hood that matches a liner you would see on the real 350Z. So that's nice. They didn't just do like a bare metal underside. So that's a nice feature. Maisto usually doesn't do that on their older models. Most of their newer models, though, you will see either a liner or a fully painted surface. We'll close that up. Kind of stiff to close. The one wiper kind of gets caught, so I gotta maybe bend that back a little bit. The interior detail on here is where it gets really impressive for a Maisto model. So we'll start with the door panels now that I have these open. Door panel detailing is well done overall. They have a nice texture on them, almost like the real door panels that you would see. The handles are painted in plastic and kind of look like they're separate pieces too, which is a cool feature. There is some silver painted down here for the door pocket and everything like that, but there isn't much on the real Nissan 350Z doors anyway, so what they do have here does look good. And this side actually has even less on it. There are a couple window buttons, but they're not really painted on. I wish they would have painted those on, but again, everything else like the door handles and stuff, they look great. These are opening on spring-loaded hinges, so the angle in which they open is not that wide, but you can still see well into the interior and everything. All right, take a look at the seats next. Maisto did a fantastic job with these seats. They look and feel like the real leather on the real car. They have like the perforations in them and everything. And if you run your finger along them, they're so convincing. They kind of have like a rubber, like leather texture in them. And they even move and adjust too, these seat backs, which is a really, really cool touch. There are seat belts too, and you can even see the speakers back there. There's leather patterning everywhere on this interior, and it just looks really, really awesome. Almost of like a higher end model quality. So that's really cool to see that Maisto actually made that effort with this model. We'll zoom out there a little bit. And the seats are different shapes, just like on the real car. This kind of has like that center lump there, and this one doesn't. So that's awesome that they paid attention to that much detail. Steering wheel looks excellent. It has a nice pattern to it, and you can see the little Z badge in the center there. It does move with the wheels when you turn them, so that's awesome. The windshield wiper stalks are painted in silver, and there's even some buttons on the steering wheel itself, so that's really cool to see. The pedals are painted in silver to kind of imitate like a brushed aluminum look, so that's really cool. The detailing on the center console is excellent as well. All the buttons are separately painted and they're labeled all properly, as you can see there. You can even make out the word Bose for the stereo system right there, so that's really, really cool. The GPS screen, that little door there, it's opened up, but the GPS screen, it doesn't have anything on it. Sometimes Maisto puts like a map picture and stuff on there. I might go ahead and add like a Nissan badge in there or something, but it's not too big of a deal. It just would have been kind of cool if they added that little extra detail there. And the vents are also nicely done. And that leather pattern on the dashboard is incredible. Might be a little bit too amplified on this model, but it looks really good. It looks convincing, like it's made of the same material that the real Nissan 350Z dashboard is made of. So that's really cool to see that. And the last but not least, in terms of the features on the interior, you get a full headliner, which Maisto almost never did on their older models. You can see there's buttons and stuff up there, and a couple sun visors. It just looks excellent overall. Go ahead and close that up. All right, underneath, not really too much to see. It does say a Z on this rear exhaust component here, so that's really cool. But the exhaust piping itself is kind of done in like a chrome plastic, as is the case of most of these Maisto models, so that's not too big of a deal. But there is some detail down here with like the steering and everything, so that's nice to say that they made some effort there. All right. So if you can find this model, I would highly recommend buying it. The Nissan 350Z itself is excellent, I think, in terms of like a sports car and everything. It just looks awesome, especially in this orange color too. But there's frequently listings on eBay for it. You can find, I wouldn't pay more than like $45 for this, and watch for shipping and everything like that too. But yeah, I hope this helps. As always, be sure to like and subscribe, and be sure to follow my social media page. My Instagram is Nick's Diecast page. Thanks for watching.